We've given you exercises on developing vocal skills, but in addition to that, you need to know what words you should use on the air. Therefore, you should know what things you can and cannot say and how. So here we come to the 4 C's of journalism: being clear, correct, concise, and creative. To be clear is to give the information in a way that everybody can understand without much question. To be correct is to give no information falsely or in a way that gives the wrong impression. To be concise is to say it in the least number of words possible, as swiftly and easily to understand as possible. To be creative is to be unique, different, interesting. So, here we have a couple of examples of a script that didn't consider those things. San Diego Chargers draft a rookie in the NFL. Larry English paid a big bill of almost $50,000 when he took the team out to TGI Fridays after signing his contract. However, his bill and Sean Merriman's bill differed highly due to Sean's taking the team out to a steakhouse his rookie year, leaving the final cost at $32,000. Can you tell me what this story was about? Sure, if you look at the script, you can kind of break it apart, but it wasn't stated in a logical order. It should have had the amounts closer together. It really didn't have a good explanation of what it was about at the beginning to give you an idea of where it was going. So it really needed some help. In addition, it's all one sentence. You need to use shorter sentences with broadcast so it's easier to understand. Here we have 20-year-old male suspect was apprehended on Tuesday. He robbed a dwelling place, then spent some time at large, and returned to the crime scene 2 hours later to proposition his alleged victim for a date. I don't know about you, but for me, this one's easier to understand. But it doesn't sound like somebody's just telling a friend this information. I mean, who really says it's a dwelling place, or at large, or alleged victim, or even proposition for a date? This is stilted, copish vocabulary, and it needs to be spoken in a way that's conversational. Here's another. A man at Madeira Beach pretended to drown. He did this several times. He also tossed jellyfish at teenagers. He was arrested. They determined he was drunk. He also had a concealed weapon. This one, pretty easy to understand, kind of comical. But also it's very choppy. We have he so many times. He did this, he did that, he did that, he did that, with so many different sentences ending. So, this should actually use longer sentences. Maybe combine some of these short, choppy thoughts. Here are suggestions for broadcast. Use simple sentences. Alternate long and short sentences so it sounds natural. Write in a conversational style. Write the way you want it read. Write your script aloud as you're writing. We really need to emphasize this because if you read aloud as you're writing, you catch those words that would have slurred together, and you catch the words that are placed wrong and sound funny, things that you probably wouldn't be able to say. As you're writing the script, you should be reading aloud so you hear how it sounds and you can make adaptations. Also include all the important information. That information usually includes the 5 W's: the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. The why sometimes refers to not why did this happen, but why are the listeners interested? Why does it matter? Keep all of these things clear and you'll be a good writer.
Turn up another notch. And bam! Bam! Hey, honey, you want to watch me turn it up a notch? Come here. Boom!
Okay, simmer down, Heffernan.
That's Sheffernan.
You know what? That just gets funnier with each barbecue.
Hey, you want to hand me the Worcestershire sauce?
What did you say?
The Worcestershire sauce.
That's not the way you say it.
Well, how do you say it?
Well, I try not to, but if I have to, I say it very quickly. Pass me the Worcestershire sauce. But when you pronounce it slowly, it highlights your stupidity.
Okay, well, how about we both learn to say it the right way?
All right.
All right, it's
All right, it's Worcestershire. Worcestershire. Okay, that was fun.
It's gonna be fun tonight, though.
Okay. As you can see, neither knew how to pronounce the word. Carrie was kind of on point with that, though, because if you say it quicker and confidently, people don't see you as not understanding. However, if you say it wrong, people still don't know what word you're talking about, so it is important that you look it up and figure out how to say it. Sometimes you can't sound words out, so sometimes it's just the dictionary that can tell you the right answer. This is part of understanding the info you're sharing and telling it so the message is accurate. If you put a word in your script that you don't know, then you don't really understand what you're saying. So you have to make sure any words in your source that you think are important, you look up so that you know when you're writing your script what it means and what you can say in your own words.
All right, Mr. and Mrs. Heffernan, I'm going to try to wrap this up quickly. You probably have better things to do with the evening than talk about insurance.
Just that pesky World Series.
Well, actually, all I need now is your decision on the building code upgrade coverage. You think you want that or not?
Well, do you think we need it?
Well, personally, I think the argument for it is fairly specious. So, yay or nay?
Well, that depends how specious the argument really is.
Well, I'd say in your case, it's extremely specious.
I guess we just have to decide if we're into the whole specious thing.
You know what? I'm just gonna think about it. I'm just gonna think about it right over here.
So, insurance. It's quite a game. Had a crazy guy like yourself get involved with that.
Well, you know, I just needed something where I could be out, meeting people. Because, there's one thing my old grandma used to say.
All right, yeah, that's nice. All right. So, hun, yay or nay?
Well, since the argument for it has the ring of truth but is actually false, I say we take a pass.
I agree. All right, let's play ball.
Okay. So in that scenario you saw, sometimes you won't be able to tell from context what a word means. So looking it up is the only way to know for sure what the word means, and therefore to be able to communicate your meaning. Sometimes, though, it's not with a word that you don't know. Sometimes it's with words you do know, just unclearly referring to other words, like pronouns. Pronouns are I, he, she, they, replacing actual nouns. And they can get confusing at times. I met with Jeff and Larry on Thursday. I really liked the impression he gave. You really like the impression who gave, Jeff or Larry? Here's the student that missed all her quizzes. Student that goes with things. Student is a person, so it should be here's the student who missed all her quizzes. My father is an engineer, but I'm not interested in it. You're not interested in engineering or in the fact that your father is an engineer? Somebody left their bag on the floor. Okay, somebody is a singular. There is plural. So did somebody leave some group of people's bag on the floor? Or did somebody leave his or her bag on the floor? And to say that more conversationally, you could say somebody left a bag on the floor. I often enjoy skipping class on Monday morning, but then you start to feel guilty. This is somebody trying to build a connection by changing the sentence from I, all about me, to you. But it doesn't work. You have to keep your subject the same through the whole sentence. So it could say, You may often enjoy skipping class on Monday morning, but then you'll start to feel guilty. Or, I often enjoy skipping class on Monday morning, but then I start to feel guilty. Each student must see their counselor if they want to change classes. Again, each student is singular, but their is plural. So whose counselor? What group of people's counselor? Not the student himself. Robin soaked the foot he sprained in ice water. Robin sprained his foot in ice water? John hit a triple to left field, which flew over the fence. Left field flew over the fence? Look out for the words you're modifying to make sure you're communicating what you want to. Pronouns are great. We like to use we, our, you, your, so that they can build a connection with the listeners and sound conversational. As you can see, this column on the left is one way of saying things, but on the right we have another way of saying things, adding in a pronoun. It adds a little extra conversational aspect to it. You can also use I, me, and my. Those are conversational, and we don't avoid them like you do in English class. But one reason to avoid them is, remember, the station isn't about me, I, my. It's about us. It's about our listeners. It's about the community. So try to play down the me, I, and keep the we and our. But make sure you're representing the whole station or you and the listeners when you use that. Be careful with it, because as you can see here, it is cloudy. It refers to a great number of things, and it's not very specific. It is cloudy. What is cloudy? The sky is cloudy. Monday is cloudy. The coffee is cloudy. You could say skies are cloudy. You could say weather is cloudy. It's better to actually put a word that's useful rather than it. Then we have contractions. They're used to join pronouns and verbs like he'll, she'd, they've, we're. Just be sure you state them clearly, because sometimes it will sound like whole, she'd, they've, were. Make sure you really have that we're sound on there. Or words with not, couldn't, haven't, shouldn't, isn't, didn't. Be careful with those too, because you have to make sure the N and the T are audible. My husband often says, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, wait, you could do that or you couldn't? Because I couldn't hear whether he said couldn't or could. You can't join nouns and verbs though. Like in the example, the judge'll say, we're better off with this law. People say that in conversation, but it's not really accurate. And as a non-commercial station, we can't say, Mom'll do that, but we can say, she'll do that. Then we have theirs, several accidents. The problem with that is there is singular, accidents is plural. So it should be there are several accidents. That's something you have to watch out with other contractions. Singular plural issues usually deal with is versus are. And you're usually good at identifying. My brother is or are aching for attention. My brothers is or are aching for attention. My brothers are, my brother is. The kitchen scissors is or are in the sink. They are in the sink. There is or are chances of infection. There are chances of infection. But watch out, because if you make this into a contraction, people often say, there's chances of infection, when really it should be, there are chances of infection. Or, where's my keys? When it should be, where are my keys? So when there are contractions, or when there are general subjects, you run into a little confusion with pronouns. To make sure that you get familiar with this, we would like to, I have so many tabs. Okay, here are some times with the word each, none, when there's and connecting to, or dividing to. Those are some cases where it could get confusing. Now I'd like you to do some practice exercises yourself, and then we can move on.